Today, we're diving into a topic that touches the very core of our psychological well being: gaslighting. It's a topic that is both pervasive and insidious in today's modern societies. You will learn how to identify if you're being gaslighted. Also, you'll learn how to overcome and combat this toxic psychological manipulation with some tactful defensive responses and actions. Welcome to the Network of Awareness podcast, where we pursue knowledge to expose toxic conditioning, propaganda, and global lies, inspiring you to gain critical thinking for a meaningful reality rooted in universal truths and empowering awareness. I'm your host, ORRA the Informationist, and over the next hour, we'll be exploring the signs of gaslighting, its prevalence in our culture, and how we can arm ourselves against its damaging effects, as well as examine the subtle yet destructive art, understand how to identify it in our lives, and analyze why it's on the rise in our modern societies. Let's start by defining gaslighting. It's a form of psychological manipulation in which the abuser attempts to sow self-doubt and confusion in their victim's mind. Gaslighters aim to gain power and control over the other person by distorting reality and forcing them to question their own judgment and intuition. It's insidious, and it can happen in various relationships, whether they be personal, professional, or even societal. Let's start by identifying gaslighting, questioning your reality. One of the first signs of gaslighting is when you start questioning your own reality. You may find yourself thinking, did I remember that correctly? Or maybe I misunderstood. If you notice a pattern of doubting your perceptions, it's a red flag, and most likely you're being gaslit. Consistent undermining. This one is very personal to me, and I'll explain after I identify how consistent undermining is a form of gaslighting. Gaslighters often undermine your thoughts, opinions, or achievements. They may downplay your accomplishments, making you feel like you're not as competent as you thought. If you consistently feel undervalued, it could be a sign of gaslighting. And I can tell you, I was in a friendship that I was hoping was going to be a relationship with a woman. But I found as I got to know her in the months that we were getting to know each other, every time I told her something meaningful that happened to me in my life, not too long after it happened, she always downplayed it like it wasn't that important, or like it wasn't as significant as I thought it was, or that it was something that other people experience and it's not that much of a big deal. And I remember how it would hurt my feelings and really pissed me off to a certain degree as well. And that was one of the reasons why I never established a relationship with her. That was one of many. Now, another form to identify if you're being gaslighting and gaslit is denial of facts. See, gaslighters are adept at denying facts, even in the face of evidence. If someone repeatedly denies things they've said or done, making you question your memory, it's a manipulative tactic to gain control. And we're going to talk about writing things down when dealing with gaslighters in case they do try to manipulate the situation or make you question yourself. If you have it written down, especially in something that has a timestamp like a text message or email, even better. But another form of gaslighting is shifting blame. And this is something that is very prevalent in modern day society. See, gaslighters are rarely ever going to take responsibility for their actions. Instead, they shift blame onto others and often onto you. If you find yourself apologizing for things that aren't your fault, it's a sign of manipulation. Another thing to be careful of is that sometimes when people are constantly apologizing for things that are not their fault to people that are not trying to hold them accountable for anything, chances are it's not that you're being gaslit. It's because you've been gaslit in the past and you've suffered severe trauma as a child and even as a young adult. And now that mentality permeates in your current relationships where you find yourself apologizing a lot. And that just means that you're somebody who's gone through severe trauma. And self examination and therapy can help you to stop apologizing all the time, especially with things that are not your fault. Isolation tactics. Gaslighters may isolate you from your friends and family to enhance their control. If you feel increasingly isolated or cut off from your support system, take a step back and evaluate the dynamics at play. Because from personal experiences and from other people that I've counseled and consulted with, a lot of times people that are gaslighters, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're narcissists, they just may have narcissistic tendencies, but they don't want you to be with your support system because they know that your support systems are going to give you sound advice because they love you and they have your best interest in mind. So somebody that's gaslighting you and wants to be in control of your life and wants to be the puppet master and you being their puppet, they're going to want you to get away from anything that is going to provide value to your life, which your support system always provides value. Why? Because these are the people that just love you and accept you for who you are. Emotional roller coasters is a big one. See, gaslighting often involves emotional manipulation. So if you find yourself on a constant emotional roller coaster with drastic shifts in moods dictated by the other person, it's a warning sign. See, because the only thing that is consistent with this type of behavior when you're dealing with people that are gaslighting you is the emotional roller coaster of the up and down, the good, the bad, the positive, the negative, and it's always positive or negative. And it's a form of control. It's, I'm going to treat you nice for a hot second, and then the other second, I'm going to tear you down. So that is the only form of consistency, where healthy relationships have a high level of positive consistency with very limited negative experiences. And those negative experiences are just minor misunderstandings that can be overcome through valid and open communication. Now, the rise of gaslighting in modern societies. Let's explore this. Now that we've covered how to identify gaslighting, let's explore why it seems to be on the rise in our modern societies, especially here in the United Shenanigans of America. And I know that people from around the world experience this because I have people that listen from many different countries and they go through this and in their cultures as well. And here in the United States, in my personal opinion, I believe it's the most prevalent because the United States is the only country that suffers from egoic manipulation at a very high degree. That's how the country operates. It operates off of ego and self-importance, right? That's why you always hear that we're the best country in the world. There's no better place than the United States. And for anybody who truly believes that's never been around the world, they're only fooling themselves. Now that we cover this, in our modern societies, social conditioning and toxic selfishness is why we have this rise of gaslighting in the first place. See, our society is increasingly promoting individualism and sometimes toxic selfishness. The me first mentality can create an environment where manipulation for personal gain becomes more common. See, it's good to love yourself and to value yourself and see the worth within you. But there has to be a steady balance of humility to where it's not only just about you, but it's also about caring about others. And that's why I love that ancient Sanskrit quote that when you seek happiness for yourself, it eludes you. When you seek happiness for others, you find it in yourself. Now, another major contributor to gaslighting amongst people in modern society is the lack of empathy that people have. Empathy seems to be in short supply in today's fast-paced world. When people prioritize their needs above all else, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others diminishes. Gaslighting often thrives in environments devoid of empathy. And that's why so many people that lack empathy are your people that are suffering from narcissistic tendencies and behaviors and start to develop narcissistic personality traits because they can't put themselves in somebody else's shoes. They can't even imagine what it feels like. And the moment they block themselves from putting themselves in someone else's shoes, the lack of empathy is going to be so profound that their behavior is going to be on such a negative trajectory to where their total and absolute purpose is to gain control and to fulfill their own personal desires by any means necessary. Technology and social media. This is one of my favorites. You've heard me talk about this many of times. The rise of social media contributes to the pressure to maintain a certain image, right? Because everything is about image on social media. So individuals may resort to gaslighting to control narratives and project a curated version of reality. And 9 times out of 10, the reality that they're creating on social media is not the reality that they're living. The constant comparison to other people on social platforms amplifies these tendencies. And that's why you see, especially with the younger generation, but even older, everything is based on how many followers you have, how many likes you're getting, the type of comments that are being made. And people really identify their importance in life based on their social media following. And those people, slowly but surely, are going to be lost. And see, just because social media is so brand new, we don't even really know. There is no real hardcore analytics to study this because it's so brand new. But I can only imagine and assume that down the line, 20 to 30 and even 40 or 50 years from now, and the rise of social media, the types of effects it's going to have on modern day society and the psyche of most people in these younger generations. We're talking about your 20-something-year-olds, your teenagers, and even your toddlers and infants and young people this is all that they know. This is what they're being introduced to. Another form of gaslighting is the normalization in media. This has been a major contributor to gaslighting because gaslighting behaviors are sometimes glorified or normalized in commercial media and popular culture. The desensitization can lead people to adopt manipulative tactics without fully understanding their destructive impact. And what happens is that the behavior is so subliminal, it's within the subconscious, that the conscious mind is fully unaware of what the subconscious mind is bringing out in the behavior of the human being. Now, let's discuss the effects of gaslighting. See, gaslighting doesn't just affect the moment, its consequences can be long lasting. Let's explore the effects, how it can have on individuals and the erosion of the self confidence. Because erosion of self confidence is why so many people today are suffering from depression and anxiety. And we're going to get into that in just a moment. See, gaslighting chips away at your confidence. It leaves you second guessing every single decision. Over time, this erosion of self-confidence can lead to a diminished sense of self-worth. And if you haven't listened to A Man of Worth and Not Success, I definitely suggest you do that. It's in season 4. Anxiety and depression. Living in a constant state of confusion and self-doubt can contribute to a high level of anxiety and depression. And I can tell you that I've experienced this in the past on levels that I never thought I would ever get to. And there's been many contributing factors, but self-realization and acting on what you know to be true instead of the lies that you convince yourself can be very fulfilling and healing and helping you to propel to a much healthier life. See, gaslighting has a way of gnawing at your mental health, and sometimes without you even realizing it. And I do have empathy for those that are experiencing anxiety and depression, but this is why we do what we do on this show. This is why I love what I do. This is why I do what I do, whether I get paid or not. This is a passion that I'm pursuing with great purpose because this is something that can help people to evolve and to become healthier and more rooted in the universal truth of their reality and the universal truth that comes from the great creator of all that lives within us. Another contributing factor is isolation and loneliness. And gaslighting often leads to the isolation of the victim that is being gaslighted. As you become more cut off from your support system, people, you may find yourself feeling lonely and trapped. But I'm here to tell you that you're not alone and that there is help and there is something better around the corner. But you have to take action. And how do you take action? You confront the gaslighting. Now that we understand the signs and effects of gaslighting, let's shift our focus to confronting this very toxic behavior. Number one, trust your intuition and instincts. I can't say this enough. If something feels off, trust your intuition and instincts. See, gaslighting works by making you doubt yourself. So by learning to trust your inner feelings, the inner standing, the intuition of the higher self, you can break the cycle of gaslighting wherever it's coming from and from whoever it's coming from. Document your experiences. Like I mentioned earlier, write things down. Keep a record of incidences that make you uncomfortable. Have a concrete record that can help you validate your experience when doubt creeps in. Keep a journal, text message, email, whatever. Stamp it. And not for the purposes of pointing it out to the gaslighter, but for the purposes to help you realize that you're not crazy and that you don't need to doubt yourself because what you know to be true is real. And it's right there written down for you to see whenever you want. Seek support. We talk about this so much in the network of awareness, don't we? Share your experiences with trusted friends, family, or a mental health professional because gaslighters thrive in isolation. So reaching out for support is a powerful step. One of my favorites in combating this gaslighting experience is setting boundaries. And as many of you have heard me say it before, I just learned how to set boundaries last year at the age of 44. Establish clear boundaries with the person engaging in gaslighting. Communicate your limits and assertively stand your ground. This can be challenging, but is crucial for your well-being. Setting boundaries is probably one of the most important things that you can do in your life. And it's not just for gaslighting, even though this is the topic at hand, but setting boundaries in your day-to-day life with the people that you deal with and encounter can be one of the best decisions and actions you take for your life because it sets the tone for how people are going to respect and treat you and understand you for who you truly are and not allowing them to overstep the boundaries and disrespect you or treat you a certain way and to even try to inflict any type of toxic behavior onto you. So now that we've gotten that out the way, I want to go into some questions that were sent to me on networkofawareness.com. And like always, if you have any questions or topics you want me to discuss or anything that you want to discuss or even possibly be a guest on the show, you can go on to networkofawareness.com. So let's open up the floor to some of these questions that were sent to me on networkofawareness.com. And I just want to mention that your questions are invaluable, people, and they contribute to a collective understanding of these complex issues that we bring forth on the Network of Awareness. So I love all you Network of Awareness and faithful listeners, and even to the new listeners that have just come on board. I appreciate you all. So the first question is, how do you rebuild trust in yourself after experiencing gaslighting? Great question. Well, rebuilding trust in yourself is a gradual process. You have to have patience. It doesn't happen overnight, right? It is a step-by-step process, a day-by-day, hour-by-hour, week-to-week, month-to-month process. But with time, that process only helps you to become stronger in how to deal with this and how to gain self confidence back from the gaslighting experience. Start by acknowledging your feelings and experiences. Seek therapy to work through the trauma and surround yourself with a supportive support system or individuals who validate your reality. And those are the people that love you. Some of them, the people that love you unconditionally. Those are the people that you surround yourself. Why? Because they accept you for who you are. They love the good, the bad, and the ugly. The second question we have is, can gaslighting be unintentional or is it always a deliberate act? Wow, that's a very great question. Gaslighting can sometimes be unintentional, especially if someone has learned manipulative behaviors without fully understanding its impact. And this could be your people within churches, organizations, people that are constantly being manipulated by their leaders or the people they look up to. And they're not formulating their own thoughts. They're going by what they're taught and they're just reciprocating it or throwing it right back out because it's not really coming from them. It's a very conditioned thought that they've been taught to regurgitate to others. So to answer that is something to where, however, if it's intentional or not, it's crucial to address and set boundaries to protect yourself. Now, the third question is, are there cultural factors that contribute to the prevalence of gaslighting? Abso-freaking-lutely. See, cultural norms and expectations can play a significant role in shaping behaviors. So, in some cultures, there might be an emphasis on power dynamics or a tolerance for certain manipulative behaviors, making gaslighting more prevalent. And like I mentioned before, this can happen in the families. And whether you're in a matriarch family or a patriarch, usually it's the patriarch or matriarch that's doing the gaslighting. So whenever you question them, they have a tendency to criticize and ridicule you in front of others to make you look like you're stupid or you don't know what you're talking about or that you don't understand what's actually happening and that they have your best interest in mind, when most of the time they're just trying to manipulate the situation. I've seen this within church organizations. I've seen this within corporate structures in my professional career. This happens everywhere. So just be mindful that there are cultural norms. So absolutely, great question, because it does contribute to the prevalence of gaslighting. Whenever there is a dynamic of a power structure, whenever there's a caste system, there's most likely going to be gaslighting, because usually the people that have that leadership power, 9 times out of 10, they don't deserve it. And they're also going to abuse it. And that toxic behavior is going to be prevalent and it's going to grow. And you have to make the decision on whether you want to deal with that type of power structure. And I can tell you that most people that leave that behind wind up becoming better for it. Next question. How do you differentiate between genuine misunderstandings and gaslighting? Excellent question. See, it's crucial to recognize that genuine misunderstandings can happen, but gaslighting involves a consistent pattern of manipulation with the intention to control. In misunderstandings, there's often a willingness to clarify and understand, while gaslighters may persist in their manipulative tactics. So there is a big difference. People that want the clarification and understand truly just are having a misunderstanding with you, but they care about what you believe and understand to be true just as much as what they believe and understand to be true. And that's a healthy relationship with communication, where if a gaslighter, they're just looking to manipulate. So they're not going to be in agreement of even trying to glean clarification. The clarification is whatever they tell you. Great question. Next question is, can gaslighting occur in professional settings or is it primarily a personal dynamic? Really good question, because it can be in professional settings. Absolutely. Gaslighting can extend to professional settings. In fact, workplace gaslighting is not uncommon. It may manifest through undermining colleagues, taking credit for others' work, or even manipulating team dynamics. The impact on mental health in professional settings can be very significant. How can you approach someone you suspect of gaslighting, especially if they are close to you? Really great, because gaslighting happens a lot in families. I know that because I grew up with it. I grew up being raised by a narcissist who gaslit. Confronting someone engaging in gaslighting can be delicate, especially when you're dealing with family, right? It's often helpful to just set boundaries, express your feelings using I statements, and seek support from friends and professionals. However, if your safety is a concern, it's crucial to prioritize your well-being and seek assistance first and foremost. With that being said, I want to wrap up today's show. I want you to remember that identifying gaslighting is the first step towards breaking free from its grip. So by understanding the signs, acknowledging the societal factors contributing to its rise, and taking proactive steps to confront it, we can collectively work towards cultivating healthier relationships with the communities that we're involved in and the people we choose to deal with. In conclusion, gaslighting is a complex issue that requires awareness, understanding, and resilience to combat effectively. By recognizing the signs, understanding its roots and societal dynamics, and arming ourselves with strategies to build resilience, we can work towards fostering healthier relationships and a more empathetic society. So I want to thank you for joining me in this exploration of gaslighting. Remember, your questions and conversations are powerful tools in creating awareness and change. Your awareness and commitment to change are powerful tools in dismantling the toxic dynamics that permeate our modern societies. So please follow us on Spreaker to catch live episodes in 2024. Also, if you like our show and want to support us, leave a like and a review on Apple Podcasts. Those reviews go a long way to building our podcast ranking and influence. It only takes a few seconds. And as an incentive, if you take a screenshot of your review, I will give you a shout out and let listeners know your social media handle as well on the network of awareness. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. And remember, when you live in the present, there is always an opportunity for a new beginning. Don't look for the light at the end of the tunnel, because the light is and always will be within you. So light up the tunnel and find your way through the darkness. This is ORRA the Informationalist, signing off. Peace, love, and light, family.